Ladies and can you hear me? All right, a good start. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the festival producer, Sanjoy Roy, festival directors, William Dalrymple and Namita Gokhale, executive director, Jesse Fredman, and my other colleagues at JLF Boulder and teamwork, I would like to welcome you to the second edition of JLF at Boulder. Second edition, it just seems like yesterday when we thought of setting up the festival over here. The story and the journey started 4 years ago when Jesse, Fredman, Jules, and Maruta came to the Mother Festival in Jaipur and fell in love with the festival. And they wrote to us that we want to bring JLF to Boulder. And the first question we asked that where is it on the map? Having figured that, when we landed in Denver and came to Boulder, we fell in love with the city. We fell in love with each inch of the city, every rock of the city, every individual of the city. We were mesmerized by the fact that this city, by the whole character of the city, by the fact that every individual is so well read and so welcoming and so warm. And we knew that this is the festival city and we have to come here, and here we are. So thank you very much for accepting us and for accepting the festival. We are honored and privileged to have with us today the mayor of the city of Boulder, Suzzane Jones, with us. So may I please request her to come up here and say a few words.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the second and hopefully annual Jaipur Literature Festival in Boulder, Colorado. We are in for an absolute treat. A literary smorgasbord, a cultural extravaganza. I hope you're as excited as I am. And I'd like to say that the Boulder weather gods have seen fit to give us this fine morning, eh? Yes. I want to especially welcome our out-of-town guests for coming to visit. Last night at the tea house, I got to meet one of our specialists of guests, the Queen Mother from Bhutan, Her Majesty Ashri Dorji Wangmu Wangchuk. We don't have a lot of queens coming to Boulder, so it's very auspicious to have her here. And Her Majesty is, among other things, an author, and it's going to be the first panel after this, so that will be a treat as well. But I want to let you know that she's already my favorite queen. And if you meet her, you will soon agree that she's uniquely amazing. And she's also full of insights. Last night, as soon as I met you, you inquired about my year of birth, informed me I was born under the 9th star, and that was the luckiest star of all. So I am feeling very lucky this morning to be here with all of you. I also just want to pause and note that this festival is in keeping and greatly adds to the rich cultural and literary history of Boulder. And I know that we're known for our spectacular outdoor setting, and that has sort of defined who we are as we've evolved. But celebrating this great place and convening people to exchange ideas and self-expression in this place is also a big part of our heritage. So I just want to pause for a second and note that here we are along the banks of Boulder Creek. This was a gathering place of the Arapaho tribe and other tribes, American Indian tribes. And I hope their spirit imbues this gathering. But when settlers came, what did they put here? A university. And what is one of the first places we protected as a community? Chautauqua, which was the western outpost of adult education, which combined culture and the outdoor setting. And then fast forward to the 1970s, and Naropa University was founded here, which was a pioneering Buddhist institution at that time, and it drew poets like Allen Ginsberg and Anne Waldman, who I think is going to be speaking later. And what a wonderful tradition that was. And so this is in keeping with this bringing together to convene around ideas and what's the next? What's next? So I can't stress enough what a remarkable honor it is for Boulder to be able to host this festival. You just heard that the Jaipur is the largest free literary festival in the world. And we are the second outpost, the only outpost in North America. So how lucky to have been chosen, and how wonderful for us to be here today. So. And as noted last night at the Tea House, I just want to say this discourse among real people exchanging real ideas, substantive, in-depth conversation is so important, especially in this day and age when civil discourse is so mean and toxic right now. So we are claiming what should be in the world, and so that will be part of this weekend as well. So I do just want to mention these things don't happen by accident, and this festival is the result of a lot of generosity. And I just want to note that there were some major donors that helped bring this together. And 3 of the largest non-tax-based funders of this event are the Boulder Library Foundation, the Mortgage Family Foundation, and Elevations Credit Union. Can we acknowledge them? And then I'm also proud to note that the City of Boulder and the Convention and Visitor Bureau also invested in this because we realize how important it is for our community and for the world. So I also note that hundreds of volunteers made this happen, as well as a few community members. Jesse Friedman leaps to mind, who has spent the past year making this happen. So let's honor them as well. So we have, to start things off, a bit of official business, okay? And this is going to be group interactive. This is a proclamation from Governor Hickenlooper about today. So when I point to you, you're going to yell out, "Whereas," okay? Are you ready? So this is the State of Colorado proclamation. Originating in Jaipur, India, the Jaipur Literature Festival is the largest free literature festival in the world, and JLF has chosen Boulder as its venue for the Americans, and JLF at Boulder is a festival of ideas and innovative minds, which is bringing internationally acclaimed authors from across the world into meaningful conversation with one another here in Colorado between September 23rd and September 26th. And Her Majesty, the Royal Queen Mother, Ashi Dorji Wangmu Wangchuk of Bhutan, has chosen to travel here to Colorado and present at JLF at Boulder. And Coloradans join with JLF at Boulder and Her Majesty, the Royal Queen Mother of Bhutan, to celebrate this cultural exchange between Colorado and the world. Oh, sorry. This one's a therefore. I, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor of the entire state of Colorado, do hereby proclaim forever after September 24th, 2016 as this is a long one. JLF at Boulder and Her Majesty the Royal Queen Mother Ashi Dorji Wangmu Wangchuk of Bhutan Day. Woo!
I am so privileged to be amongst you. And today, I am deeply humbled, touched, really touched, and honored to receive this great news. It is the celebration of literature. And what's going to happen is that as we gather here to celebrate literature, we form friendships, and those friendships, I hope that we can take it forward. I would like to thank the Honorable Governor of Colorado, the Honorable, very Honorable Mayor of Boulder, and I would like to say that I love Boulder. I love the Boulderins. And I hope with this literature festival, we will forever be connected and bonded. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Majesty, for being part of the festival. And thank you, Mayor, for all your support. Thank you very, very much. A festival can never happen without good partners. And we're very, very fortunate to have Boulder Public Library as a partner, as a venue partner, and they have given a lot of support. So may I please request David Farnan, Director of the library, to come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am so pleased to see everyone here and so thankful that you made the trip to Boulder and you can enjoy the beautiful day in this beautiful library. It is a great honor for me to be able to be a host for this festival. When we first heard of the idea, we were overjoyed and excited, and not simply because it was a festival of literature, but because it was a festival of ideas. Public libraries have a long and obviously very illustrious history in this country, dating back to its origins. I'm fond of a quote of Thomas Jefferson, which I think is appropriate today, in saying that if we take for granted that a free and educated public is going to be something that we will have forever, then we are going to be sorely mistaken. It requires the vigilance of us every single day to ensure that free and open dialogue takes place, and the public library really is the platform in our country for the past 150, 200 years where those discussions have occurred. So I am so pleased to have it here. I'm looking out and I see a lot of familiar faces. I see family and friends, and I'm so glad to see you back this year. Many of you were here last year, and I know you're going to enjoy yourself again. I see some people who I know are from its origins in India, and I'm on the stage with a couple of them today. I want to thank them as well for this concept that is burgeoning in our world and bringing so many different cultures together to discuss ideas and things that are timely in our culture and in our times. I see a lot of new faces as well, and I will second the mayor's opinion that you are in for a treat, because this is really a wonderful event. Last year, I think we began. It was a little bit like a shotgun wedding. We were not really sure what was going to happen. And as the day kind of transpired in the first day, everyone sort of got into the flow. And by the second day, I think that the audience and the presenters were all having an amazing time. And that's really the beauty of this event, is there is a connection between the audience and the speakers. You are not here to just simply gain wisdom, but to share in that wisdom and be a part of the generation of that wisdom. And that is what I love about this event so much. I will leave it at that. I'm extraordinarily grateful. I was hoping to see and acknowledge Doris Haas. I don't think she is here this morning, but if you do see Doris, those of you who know her through the course of this festival, and I know she will be here, make sure that you thank Doris. Doris is the head of our Library Foundation. She formed the foundation over 40 years ago. She is still a voting member of the board, and she is instrumental in both the financing for this festival and also just for the energy behind it, where she jumped on this notion from the very beginning when I pitched it from the Jaipur folks saying, like, we've got to have this festival. Doris has been on board, and she was here last night at the tea house. I expect to see her today. So if you do see Doris, please thank her as well. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, David. Now may I please introduce the visionaries, the festival directors, Namita Gokhale and William Dalrymple, and may I request Namita to come and say a few words.
So it's inspirational to return to beautiful Boulder, to be here in a gathering of the literary tribes, as the mayor told us. I welcome guests around the US, around the world, and my dear and respected friend, Her Majesty the Queen Mother of Bhutan. The second edition of the festival is brimming with ideas, trying to make sense of our increasingly polarized planet, challenging, interrogating, empathizing, all in an effort to reach out and understand and to harmonize different and often deeply differing points of view. We are each other's stories. Across race and gender, language and culture, it's books and ideas and dialogue that define us, connect our human narratives. what better place than inspirational setting of Boulder, where the prairies and the Rockies meet, to examine our minds and look deep into our hearts, sharing the landscapes within, whether it is in Jaipur or Bhutan or Boulder. For me, as an Indian who came for the first time last year to Boulder, I connect with a particular citizen of India who owed a lot to Boulder, and I'd like to pay homage and tribute to her today. She was somebody called Kalpana Chawla. Kalpana Chawla was a NASA astronaut who was born in Karnal, India, and who died in February 2003, when the Space Shuttle Columbia perished during entry. She symbolized what happens when two cultures meet. Not that they crash, but they reach for the stars. She had a doctorate of philosophy in aerospace engineering from the University of Colorado. And why I thought of her today was because one of our speakers, Robert Blackwell, who is not here just now, but who is going to be later on in the day speaking with us, wrote a poem for her while he was the ambassador of the US in India. And there was just this line in the poem where he said, this Karnal girl sought the skies. Space shuttles whispered in her ear, and she answered head to feet. We keep her smile in the last video. Like Seneca, she thought, the whole universe is my native land. Now, more than ever, dear one, we weep. So this is my tribute to the energies between the land of Kalpana Chawla and the land that nourished her and literally took her to the stars. On that note, thank you, and a wonderful festival ahead.
When Namita, Sanjoy, and myself first dreamt up this festival only 9 years ago, we had a somewhat bumpy start. We hired a room in Diggy Palace in Jaipur, and a total of 13 people turned up for the first session, of whom 12 were Japanese tourists who'd taken the wrong turn. But one of whom was Maruta from Boulder. And so there was an early Boulder connection with this very first far from packed out session. And since then, it's grown like some monster in an Indian myth. 100 people the next year, 4,000, 25,000, several hundred thousand, and last year, 1/3 of 1,000,000. And it continues to grow. And the reason it continues to grow is it's completely free. Anyone can walk in, whether you're a rickshaw puller or Her Majesty the Queen Mother. And it has a fantastically democratic vibe to it. There's no reserved seating. In the early days, we didn't even have a green room for the authors. All the authors would be mingling with the crowds. And it attracted an incredibly young crowd. If you look out on our crowds every January, because no one has to pay, students come from all over India. And one of the things I always recommend people to do at Jaipur is to go down to the railway station of an evening and see the kids that are just sleeping rough on the railway station. They've found some way of getting to Jaipur by dodging tickets or however they've done it by train. And a lot of them just camp down on the station, on the station platform. So it's a huge, incredibly enthusiastic audience. And I think the last thing I'd like to say before actually getting on with the festival is to invite you all to come and see it. It happens every January when I believe it's a little bit chilly here. You might enjoy the warm sunlight and be able to swim in unheated pools. And the same bright light that you've got here is very much the light of Jaipur in January. So please, if you enjoy what you see here, do consider flying over and seeing the mothership in Jaipur. Thank you.
I'm Jessie Friedman. I'm the executive director of the Jaipur Literature Festival, and thank you. This is like seeing a dream you had at night be real. Come to life. It's just rather phenomenal. I'm going to start with a great contemporary Nigerian-American author, Teju Cole, recently said in an NPR interview, what we really want is to be in the presence of somebody who has thought about something and has delivered their thoughts in a composed and edited way. Think about it. Don't we want that? In this age of thumb typing and 40-character communication, the Jaipur Literature Festival uncovers what sometimes seem to be forgotten human truths. And that is that human beings not only savor but are uplifted by deep thought, knowledge, and insight, that we are greatly nourished by rich conversation and meaningful exchange among articulate people, and that we cherish diversity and weaving bonds among one another from disparate backgrounds, cultures, and communities, and that we yearn to understand difference and find ways of building connection rather than severing relationship and severing compassion. And that in these endeavors, we are deeply gratified by the way in which they reflect the best of our very own human nature. We have experienced the rapture and joy of literally hundreds of thousands of people as they engage in the Jaipur Literature Festival, so much that we were moved to move continents and bring it to the United States and to all of us here in Boulder. Rich with words and ideas, JLF at Boulder invites participants to join together in examining the depth and breadth of the human experience through the reflections and imaginations of more than 80 distinguished contemporary authors and speakers from around the world. And as Sanjoy Roy, the founder of the Jaipur Literature Festival with Namita and William, likes to say, what he does is create platforms for diverse voices and repressed voices and disadvantaged voices to come together and speak freely and have difference of opinion. Sorry, I'm not used to a microphone. And I think we have created a platform just in bringing India and the United States and Boulder together to create this with all our different cultural ways of proceeding. And one of the primary and foundational platforms of the Jaipur Literature Festival is outreach. When Sanjoy first came here, the very first day he said to me, "There's one thing, Jessie, if I select Boulder, you must give back to the community." And this has been one of the most gratifying and rewarding parts of creating the Jaipur Literature Festival. We've had 6 free writing programs with some of the finest Colorado authors, which were funded by the Elevations Foundation over the summer. They were packed, they were immediately filled up. Today we have brought a contingent of Native American teachers from the Pine Ridge Reservation to partake of the festival and also to engage in workshops, learning skills to teach their native students literacy, literature, and poetry. The other day we had theater performances in 2 low-income middle schools in the metro area. And I think as much as bringing the authors and hearing the conversations, it's this outreach work that fills me with joy as much as anything. And I just want to add one more quote from the wonderful American novelist George Saunders, who says, "I'll tell you what I've become convinced of. This might be a little corny, but it's true. I've become convinced of the existential value of gentleness, meaning that when you engage in a political discussion, the importance of having some baseline curiosity, some intention of maintaining affection for the person, some sense that their views are as valid as yours, that they are just as real a human being as you are, and of the sacred quality of whatever institutional things protect that space." So I guess we call that civility. That was the biggest thing, that there are ways for people across the divide to talk, but we are forgetting them pretty quickly. It is our intention and hope to preserve, cultivate, and sustain these sacred spaces at the Jaipur Literature Festival at Boulder, and thank you for helping us do so. And I must take the time to thank all the people who've made it possible. That sacred space of deep thought and meaningful exchange is created in large part by the JLF literary directors, Namita Gokhale and William Dalrymple. The founder of JLF, Sanjoy Roy, who is heartbroken he can't be with us today, whose presence is just inimitable, but he had a medical emergency in India and he had to depart quickly. So he's so sorry he can't be here today, but he has empowered us all to carry his spirit. And his production company teamwork, of which there are about 13 members who are here and made this happen. Suraj, Kritika, Sharupa, Sukman, Sunil, Archan, Manoj, Minhal, Avik. Aditya. I hope I haven't left out any names. They are just the most charming and lovable and a competent crew, and I hope you all get to meet them while you're here. I'd like to thank our sponsors again, the Boulder Library Foundation and our library director, David Farnan, who largely because of his vision, you're all sitting here today. The City of Boulder and the Boulder Convention and Visitors Bureau, our mayor, Suzzane Jones, who also largely because of her vision, you're sitting here today. City of Boulder Events Manager Mike Eubank, the Morgridge Family Foundation, who is sponsoring our youth venue, the Elevations Foundation, and I want to point out that it is the foundation. It's a foundation created off of Elevations Credit Union, which is sponsoring the festival, and that's just an important distinction to make, that it is the Elevations Foundation, and you should all learn about the amazing work that they're doing. Naropa University, the Highland City Club, Asia Trans-Pacific Journeys, Taj Hotel, the Community Foundation of Boulder County, Harvard University Press. I'd like to thank our major donors, Jim and Sue Palmer, the George Lichter Family Fund, Natalie Levinson, Carolyn Shuham, Jack and Sophie Walker, Boli Medipa, Tom and Vista Carson, Marty Cagle, Donna Baker, Brenningstall. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't have the backup of my advisory board, who have been patrons of arts and culture in Boulder for probably the last 4 decades, and are adept at immediately seeing the vision and catching on to what's important and what is rich and what is meaningful and what should happen in Boulder, even when they don't know what it really is. And I couldn't have done this without their support. And so in no particular order, we have Boli Medipa, Carolyn Shuham, Jim Palmer, Pat Wright, Stephanie Rudy, Michael Carter, Stephanie Carter, Margaret Cole, Margaret Fouquet, Sophie Walker, and Johnny Teeter. There are so many arts and cultural groups in Boulder who we have been partnering with and who have embraced JLF. So thank you all for being here. Let's begin with our illustrious inaugural session with Her Majesty the Royal Queen Mother. I think we'll have a brief break, and thank you so very, very much.